2, 1, go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Money Monday on today's Daily Huddle. I am Kimberly, and this is my husband, Zach, and we are your hosts today. We have an amazing guest. I'm going to introduce her in just a minute, Katie Scarlett Lawson. But before we do, as you all know, Zach is a master of really horrible, cheesy jokes, and I'm sure he has one for y'all right now.
Yeah, you know why roofs are the most inspiring thing in the world? Because everybody looks up to them.
Oh, I told you. Horrible.
Sorry, it's
drum roll, please.
It's my calling.
That was pretty good. That was very fitting.
Not too bad.
It's awful. We need a joke writer for this thing.
Yeah.
I know a good writer.
Oh, there you go.
I know a good writer. His name is James Otley. So if you need somebody to
All right. Well, I'm excited to hear about this today. I know a lot about this. I see James there too. Good morning, James. I've seen a lot of this story that you guys are going to hear a little bit about today through the years. But it's interesting. Kimberly will give Katie a proper introduction here in just a second. But the reason I had a joke about roofs, and our question of the day is how to be a badass woman in a man's world, right? So that, and I can't think of anybody other than like Kimberly and Katie, and the two of them together are like just crazy when it comes to that. They don't you'll see that.
You said crazy.
They are crazy. But
just stop.
Katie's owns a very successful roofing company, and I just throw that out there, and like I said, Kimberly will tell you a little bit more about her in a second. But doing some research prior to this call, statistically, according to multiple sources, less than 5% of roofing contractors in our country are female. Some sources say as low as 2, but none of them say more than 5. I found that to be absolutely intriguing because Katie does very well and has never let anything like that slow her down. So I thought I would throw that statistic out there. But
yeah, so before we get started talking to Katie, I want to warm up our Daily Huddle friends and family and ask you guys a couple of questions today. So Tara, because I see your beautiful face on my Monday morning podcast, I would love to know what time it is and what you're grateful for.
Oh, I'm not really sure. I just know one thing about the time. The time is now. And I am grateful for the energy of hope.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to be grateful for.
It is. I see my man Chase. I got to talk to you today. I got to hear your voice. Where are you? And who will you hug today?
Yes. Grand Rising, my good people. Look at your pretty wife today. She's on another level. What's going on, bro?
What's she saying, Chase?
I love it.
I just put lipstick.
I'm right here, right where I need to be, of course. And I think I'm gonna hug a new person today, a stranger. I'm gonna have an interaction with somebody. I'm gonna say, "Come here, give me a hug." I think I'm gonna do that today. I think that's a good day for it.
I believe you.
You can get away with that in New York City.
No, I'm not afraid.
I know that you will.
No, I'll do it. Trust me, I'll do it. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Gio, how are you?
Well, Kimberly, thank you. Today I am the way I say I am. And today I say I am forgiving.
Oh. Yeah, maybe I need to adopt that a little bit.
But we were having conversations about that yesterday. So
well, again, thank you guys for joining us today. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. Today is Monday. I'm Kimberly. This is Zach, and we have a special guest for you guys today. Katie, I'm going to give her a proper introduction and read her bio because it's important. But before I do that, Katie is my best friend since high school. So forever and ever and ever, you guys can imagine how much fun we had and continue to have every single time that we're together. So that's who she is. I definitely think that she is a badass woman. And I'm proud to call her my friend. And I'm happy for you guys to learn from her and learn about entrepreneurship and just her story and her strength and perseverance and just everything she has going on in life. So, all right. So Katie Scarlett Lawson is a fifth generation Gainesville, Georgia resident who splits her time between her home in Atlanta, where her daughter Lawson Elizabeth is a senior at Pace Academuy, and her house on Lake Lanier in Gainesville. She received a bachelor's in English and theater from Mercer University in Macon and a master's from Piedmont. And I think were you president at Mercer?
Yes. Well, I was president of the freshman class, the sophomore class, and the senior class of student government. So
I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a speech at your graduation.
I did. I made one of the speeches, and I think that one of the terms that one of my another best friend from college, Cam Throckmorton, her mother always says that she will never forget one of the things I said, not to do a little plug, and I don't know how I came up with it then, but I said, come here to Mercer. I'm so glad that I did put the me in Mercer. So putting the me in Mercer. And I think I did. I'll never be the same. Mercer, I don't think I'll ever be the same. But junior year, I did get to go to Oxford University in England. So I was there most of my junior year. But other years, I was president at Mercer. Yes.
So you guys see, she's from a long line of success, and she's always really pushed herself. Katie owns her own roofing company, which is very unique. We were talking about that just a minute ago. Less than 5% of women in the U.S. own a roofing company, but Lawson Group Construction, Inc., which serves commercial and residential roofing customers throughout the Southeast. Prior to founding her roofing company 16 years ago, Miss Lawson was a casting director and involved with casting of popular movies and TV shows, including The Hunger Games, The Fast and the Furious 5, and at the same time, she parlayed, I'm glad I can read all this, right, Katie? Her theater degree for 2 seasons as a cast member on the popular AMC series, The Walking Dead. In her spare time, Miss Lawson enjoys sailing, wakeboarding, hiking, traveling, and spending quality time with me, her best friend, and a few other friends and family. 2 fun facts about Katie. She sang opera in Japan during a 3-week tour with fellow performers from Mercer, and she was a finalist in the Miss Georgia pageant, proudly serving her region as Miss Chattahoochee. Welcome.
Chattahoochee River. So
welcome to the Daily Huddle as a badass woman.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. And obviously I'm so proud to call you my friend, but I do think you're amazing. I think you're amazing in everything that you do. And I think learning from you guys or from you today, all of these guys they're going to get something so great out of it, to see your strength and your perseverance and just how you push through life and make it happen. So tell us, how did you transition from theater and acting and that whole world, which is obviously totally different than roofing, right? So tell us kind of how that started, how that transitioned, and how you ended up in the world of roofing.
Sure. I think a lot about who I am comes from my family. I'm very, very close with my mother, my father, and my grandfather. Particularly my father's father. His name was G.A. Lawson. We called him Toonie Lawson. And he lived in Gainesville, Georgia. And I grew up sort of as his little right-hand woman. He owned a sawmill for a time. He owned a septic tank business. He also was a Southern Baptist preacher for 50 years. I spent just many times on the backhoe, on the front end loader. And one of the most exciting things that I got to do with him was help develop a neighborhood in Gainesville called the Lawson Highlands. And when I say help, I was probably more of a menace, just as a, from the ages of 5 until really 13, 14, 15, following him around, sitting next to him in the excavator, bringing him lunch and his little playmate. Remember those old coolers,
Yes,
the
I do.
igloo playmates? And I remember yelling, Poppy, lunchtime. And it was just the joy of my day to get to join Poppy on that job site and to watch him develop and to watch him turn something that was cattle land. He actually had cattle on this land that my great-grandfather, Pa, which is Mr. Lawson, who also served as the sheriff of Hall County for many years. But just growing up from watching entrepreneurs, hardworking people like Poppy, like Toonie, take something and turn it into something greater. I don't want to say it was nothing. It was beautiful land that we were fortunate enough that they built Lake Lanier on. So then they developed that neighborhood. But again, I was just saying that inspired me to not want to have a boss and to create my own success and to create a legacy. And I hear about Poppy and about Toonie's legacy every day in Gainesville. For example, when I had a new septic tank installed, the guy who installed my septic tank said, "You won't believe how many septic tanks I come to, and they say G.A. Lawson on them." And that's his mark. And he left that mark, that septic tank with G.A. Lawson's name on it. That's forever. That changes, well, maybe 50 years. A lot of them have lasted 50 years. But I do that too with roofing. I feel like I want to leave my mark. I want to leave, that's my legacy, making something better, helping people's lives, helping them and educating them on the roofs and how to improve their roofs, and many times how to get their roof covered by insurance, which people don't know that they can do. I think a lot of times they just want to pay for it out of pocket and don't understand what wind damage is or hail damage is. So I know I kind of went on a segue there, but
No.
what I'm trying to say is that, I grew up just with entrepreneurial parents. My mother is a physician, Dr. Brenda Garland. So I had a strong female to watch, and she was my role model. My father has a PhD, Doc Lawson, we call him, and his specialty is Civil War history, which is why I am named Katie Scarlett, and her name was Katie Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, if you're a fan. But just watching them and just watching them grow. And honestly, my dad is a theater guy. He was an actor, and I got to see him perform in many plays in Gainesville. And he was actually headed to Walt Disney World to audition to be one of the actors at Walt Disney World. And then he met my mom, and the rest is history. And he stayed in Atlanta and helped her through medical school. And she went to Emory, and they were married, and they had me. So again, so the theater, I started out in theater. I love theater. I went to New York for a semester to work on part of my master's, and I have to tell you, I hated it. I hate to say it, but I just hated it. I could only live in New York if I was a billionaire, which I am not, not yet.
Not yet, right? The power of yet.
I realized, man, I don't think this theater thing, I don't think I can make a living doing this. And I came home, and my dad said, well, there's an opening at West Hall High School, and it's for a theater teacher. And there's only one theater teacher, per school usually, unless it's a big fame high school. So I got the job in Hall County, and I taught theater at West Hall for 3 years. And then I spent more time with my grandfather and seeing him, and with my father, who also helped him at the Lawson Highlands. It was called Lawson Developments. So I taught theater for a while, and then I got promoted to a different school, which was like a fame high school, taught theater there, and came to that. I think I was 27 at that time. And I said, man, I just don't think I'm going to be able to make the living that I want to teaching. Not to say anything against, a lot of people do it, and, they do make good money. And I'm so, so grateful for people like my father and educators who have inspired me. But I just realized that I had more of an entrepreneurial spirit, and that I wanted to go out and make something, and I wanted to work with my hands. I like getting my hands dirty. And like when my Poppy was failing and getting sick, and right when he was getting ready to pass, that was the last thing that I wanted to do. And I remember talking to him about it and saying, Poppy, I want to continue your legacy. And I'd like to do that in the roofing business, and he gave me his blessing, and I wish he could see me now. I think he might be a little wary watching me run on roofs like I do. But, I took over and changed that from Lawson Developments to Lawson Group Construction, focusing just on roofs. It was during the recession of 2008 and 2009. So people weren't really building houses like my grandfather did with Lawson Developments. But I realized that insurance companies were still paying for roofs if there was viable damage. And there were a lot of hailstorms and tornadoes. If you guys remember in Hull County when we had the huge tornado there. And so I just got in at the right time and came and, every day when I wake up, I think about Poppy and think about him getting up and having breakfast and Mom Lawson cooking. Unfortunately, I cannot cook anything like she does. I barely cook at all. But when I do,
like a mean spaghetti noodle.
Right. So that's really where it came from. Is I got to do what I loved, and I still do that. I love theater. Went to the Fox Theater last night, but realized my entrepreneurial spirit and creating something. Went back and got certified as a roofer. Of course, theater doesn't certify you to be a roofer, but I've been certified and multiple, roofing contracting courses, and have been working this trade for I think 16 years now. So that's really where it started and still going.
It's awesome. And it's funny because a lot of times people would look at you and say, oh, she owns a roofing company, but you guys should follow her on social media because she's always literally on top of those roofs, walking around, talking to people, telling them, what to do here and what to do there. And I'm like, kind of freaks me out a little, Katie, you have to say. Did you want to say something?
Well, I think that in the interest of our topic, I think that it's important to ask a question, right? You have a daughter, Kimberly, and I have 4 daughters. So and both of you have been very powerful female presences throughout your life. And you just you walk into a room and you're not going to be put in a corner, right? To quote Dirty Dancing, right? But
nobody puts baby in the corner.
Nobody puts baby in the corner. But I think it's interesting to me because both of you had successful people in different rights that parenting that
yes
did things that let you know it was possible, right? I mean, I remember, when I met Kimberly's dad, he's a 30-year prison warden, and he walked into a room and everybody was like, oh, look out, here comes Doug, and it's one of those kind of things that how important was that basically allowing you to be you, not putting you in a box? How important was that from a parenting standpoint? I've tried to do that with my daughters, and I know you have with Lawson also. But from your perspective, how important was that?
And did they actually allow it, or was that just who you were?
Yeah, that's a good question. Is that my perception?
I think it was your perception.
Well, my parents always expected the best of me. They wanted me to be the best. They knew that they were never satisfied with a mediocre performance. I had to always do my best, try my best. Now, there's some things that I'm not very good at. Like I had a really hard time in chemistry, which is why I decided not to follow my mother and become a physician like she is. But I had my other strengths, English and the technical aspects of drawing, and we've had a great time, and I've working that out and developing that. And I think it's just finding your strength. And as a parent, I've tried to encourage Lawson to decide what her passion is and never let your weaknesses discourage you. Focus on your strengths and what you're really good at. And then find other people who have those other talents that you lack or that you're not as good at, and build a team. And that's what I saw Poppy do with his septic tank business. And that's what I saw my mother do with her business. She owned in Heritage Internal Medicine. So she was not only a physician, but she also was a business owner. That's what I saw my father do. And, I saw my father inspire people. My father, I walk, I work in Gainesville, and people say, "Oh, I had Doc Lawson as a teacher. He was so inspiring. He would jump up on the table and he would talk about, and he would put the Civil War, in terms that I could understand. And when talking about the Revolutionary War, when you see the whites of their eyes, that's, just extremely inspiring. And he's a leader, and he knows how to bring out the best in people.
Yeah.
And so to see him do that, to see my mom do that, and then just not take, mediocrity, to make sure that you're always doing your best, and in every single day that you give it your all. You're going to fail, and I have fallen, but I try to learn from that, pick myself up by my bootstraps, and move on to the next goal and do better because of that failure.
I think that's a big strength of an entrepreneur, is that fire in your belly to just always want to do your best and always want to do more and always push yourself. And, some people call it crazy, right? Some people say we have the crazy chip, because a lot of times we do. Like, people ask me about my day, and I tell them, about my day, and they're like, what? That's like 3 weeks for me, because it just, I don't understand anything different. I know your days are the same way. I'll call you and you're on a roof in Atlanta, then you're building a house in Gainesville, picking Lawson up from school, and it's just what you do in the day, right? Whatever you have to do, it's just how you're wired and what you do. What would you say some of the hardest things? And I want to keep the next couple of questions short, because I want some people to be able to ask you a question. What would you say the hardest thing is as an entrepreneur?
Giving up that control, because I'm very detail oriented, and I'm OCD, I guess you could say, in many ways. I think is what part of what makes me successful. And I'm very service oriented, and I want everything to be perfect. I want each job to be perfect to the detail. I'm a micromanager, and I will not apologize for that. And the people who work with me and who work for me, I have one guy who's worked with me for 15 years. Wow. And he'll tell you that I'm a micromanager, and sometimes I'll get on his nerves, but in the end of the day, they respect that. They respect that you're on site. So I think finding those right people who you can give up some of that control to, and say, okay, it's going to be all right. I've done everything that I can. I've trained these people. I've trained my team. I've got the best team. I've chosen the best people who have the same goals that I do. And just being able to give up a little bit of that. So, because I can't create 10 of me, and you can never do your best work if you're completely spent, and if you're spread too thin. So I'd really say it's just giving up that control and trusting the people that you've chosen to be a part of your team.
Valid point.
Yeah, I think it's a great answer.
Sorrel, you've got your hand up.
Good morning, Katie. Thank you for being here. Oh my God.
Thank you.
I'm so inspired by you.
Oh, wow. Do you make me
Yes, I saw that picture of you on the roof, and I said, oh my God, my head's spinning already. But I wanted to ask you this, Katie. The term badass means so many things, right?
Right.
And I'd love to hear your own view of what that means for you. And, maybe what are the characteristics that would have you call yourself a badass? And what do you want to say to other women and other men to say, here's how you too can be a badass?
I don't want to say, first of all, I have to clarify.
That was my word.
My father and my
Sorry.
mother and my grandmother and my aunts and my uncles.
I did that.
I did not coin that term. I'd say maybe kick butt, kick butt lady. I try not to curse. I'm a Baptist. I was raised a Baptist church, and I'm Christian. So I did kind of cringe when I saw that on Facebook.
It's all for the clicks.
I think being bold and not being afraid to try to push yourself and to try new things. I really have very little fear. There's not much that scares me. And I look at everything with, oh yeah, of course I can do that. Of course I can do that. And I can do that better. And I can do that better. And, you know, when I have a lot of friends in the roofing industry who I really look up to, they're all guys. And I've always been sort of a guy's girl, you know, because I'm a tomboy. You know, that they let me be in the room with them. And there was a respect there, just because I'm not afraid to do what they're doing. And I learn from them. And sometimes I'll tell them, hey, I do this better than you. Sometimes they'll tell me, hey, I do this better than you. But, you know, it's just not being afraid to take risks and to know what you're good at and to never let anyone give you any sort of, you know, trepidation about what you're doing, and to never be embarrassed by it. But just, I think, bold, fearless, and confident is what makes somebody a kick butt.
Kick butt person.
But you know, it's just, I'm unapologetic about it. Not everyone is going to agree with me, but I do think that what I'm doing comes from the heart, and I always am trying to help people, and it comes from I have a service-oriented heart, and you know, I do think of myself as a servant. And as long as I'm helping people and I'm doing that the best way that I know can, and that I can, and I'm taking risks for them. For example, being on the roof with an insurance agent, I'm there with my cougar paws on there. I'm tied up to the ridge. I'm on it with the adjuster the entire time. And that gains some respect, I believe, from the adjuster, from the homeowner. And, you know, I don't think a lot of people would do that. So, but safely, but still just taking risks and not being afraid to fail and believing that you can do anything.
Awesome.
Thank you for knowing who you are and embracing that and showing it to the world.
Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
we have any other questions for Katie?
I have a question.
Sure.
Hey, Tara.
Thanks.
You're absolutely so inspiring, and it feels almost like an oxymoron to have a love of the theater and then this kind of whole tomboy on the roof person. I wonder if how you still exercise your need for a creative outlet now that you're in something that doesn't feel creative to me, the roofing business, if you miss being creative, or if you still exercise that in your free time.
I disagree. I think being in roofing can be very creative, and maybe that's one of the things that helps me, maybe sets me apart from other roofers. I love working with developers. I have a few developers. Raven Residential is one of them. They develop townhomes and multifamily developments all around Atlanta, around North Georgia. I've done, I think, 6-7 projects with them. And they include me on that creative side, choosing the shingle, choosing the colors, choosing how the definition of the shingle. I mean, you got to tell me, if you're driving down the street and you look up at a house, look at the roofs and tell me, you can tell the difference between a good roof and a bad roof. You can tell the difference between a roof that someone took some time to think about the design, to think about the colors, to think about how it complements the house. So I think I have that creative ability, and I use that every day on every project, not just a new commercial project, which we just finished at Forest View in Gainesville, Georgia. If you're looking for a great place in downtown Gainesville and you're looking for a townhome, just finished the roofs there in a multifamily project. Or if you're a homeowner and I help you get your roof approved by insurance. How many roofs? You don't just want a black roof. I mean, there's so many different options, something that you could choose, something you've never thought about. So I think,
and I have to say, she still sings a mean karaoke.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, you know, I mean, and we'll wrap it up here, but you know, I too chose not to go into the theater world. I didn't even go as far as Katie did, because I did not want to. I went into teaching still, but and there's a whole nother topic of conversation there from an entrepreneurship perspective, but Katie does not miss a chance to be on stage, and I'm right there with her.
Oh,
It might
yes,
take a
you are.
little prodding or pushing. Katie doesn't take as much pushing as I do, but
And I
but,
think James might be tuned in too. And he's an excellent singer and an excellent guitar player. And believe me, there are a couple places where you might find us on a Wednesday night playing live. So and
And
singing.
my kids love Aunt Katie and her Betty Boop impression. So maybe one day we'll have her on to do a little Betty Boop for us,
Yeah.
right?
That's a different show. That's a different
it is.
Maybe not live
Signing
stream.
up for that show.
Well, I am so grateful, Katie, for you being here, and for I hope everybody got some light in their day from Katie. Her story is so much bigger than we're able to encompass in this this short, brief period of time. But she is obviously very confident and very successful, and those things. What I want to get from this, and what I want to get out there is that. To other women, my young women that I have in my family, and other people's, that limitations are not there. You know, I think Poppy probably is where that goes the farthest back to, putting you on the front end loader and driving you around, all that. So it might have skipped a generation. You might not credit your parents necessarily with that. They did their piece, but you know, I'm intrigued because you see powerful women, and I want my kids to understand that they're not limited by you know, anything. And so I appreciate the fact that they have somebody like Katie to look up to, as well as somebody like their mom, and you know, the women that are on this call as well, that set that precedent for them. So as we go out into our day, I want to remind you guys, love, laugh out loud, stress less, focus on the things you can control.
right.
Take care of your body, eat mostly plant-based, eat good for you foods. Give your time, give money, give. It feels good and it's necessary. Sleep, get some sleep, like we did not last night, driving in late and getting up early. So move, get your exercise in, climb on a roof, just do it the right way, right?
I'm not climbing on a roof.
And then finally, as I like to say, take your pause. Your time between stimulus and response is very important. So make sure you don't overreact or react too soon. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. Guys, great to see all your faces. Katie, thank you very much for being here. And we will see you soon in Gainesville. But in the meantime, everybody, see you same time, same place tomorrow on the Daily Huddle.
And you can find Katie's information on the Facebook post and on her bio that's posted. So if you need any roofing needs in the Southeast, right, Katie?
Right. And
Lawson Group Construction.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
it's www.lawsongrouproofing.com. So please,
Awesome.
I gotta
I'll put it in the chat.
I have
Put
one
it out
thing to
there.
finish with. She's a mean donkey. That's the way you say it. Not a
Not a
bad,
not a badass.
not a bad, a mean donkey.
I'm so glad you
All right.
said that, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
And I'm glad Zach's here to clarify, because he knows I'm kind of slow sometimes. And I'm like,
What do you mean?
I'm
Yeah.
like, what does that mean?
There you go.
Is this like a political
Nice
competition?
meeting you, Katie.
Great show, guys.
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Daily Huddle family.
Hey guys,
I'm Zach,
I'm Kimberly.
and we're your hosts for Money Monday on the podcast. And we have been with the Daily Huddle now for a little over a year, and it has been transformative. It's been fantastic for us, and I hope it's been fantastic for you guys.
We are super excited to see you on our 1000th episode. I can't believe it's been 1000 episodes, but
See you guys there.
Thank you, everybody, for helping us get to our 1000th episode on the Daily Huddle. We are so excited. This is Catherine and Tara from Relationships and Communications on Tuesday.
You know, when we started this journey together, built a community of strength and authenticity around us, we showed up to give, but we've received more than we ever could have imagined.
Way more.
And it's all thanks to you.
Here we are, a
approaching the 1,000th episode of the Daily Huddle. I've laughed, I've cried in private and in public. Daily Huddle has been something that has really soothed me from the inside. It's been an amazing experience. Happy 1,000th that it's right on the way. This is something that is a necessary vibe. I love you all. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited that we are celebrating 1,000th episode. I'm your host for Thursday Spiritual Matters, Dr. Monica Ogando. This is really an ensemble cast. It is really a joint, a village, a community effort, a community celebration. And so I want to thank you personally for being part of the Daily Huddle family. And here's to 1,000 more.
3 years, 1,000 episodes. I want you to know that none of it is possible without the pristine listening that you provide. We are celebrating you, and I cannot wait for 1,000 more episodes of us being together as family, making a difference for the world.
I can't believe it's 1,000 episodes. A big thank you for being part of my life. You gave me a new context for life, and I have to tell you, my life is richer because you have been part of it. I love you, and I'll see you later.